Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to go on in our program here at Automotodrom Grobnik. It's Sunday, it's sunny, it's as it should be. And we are ready for race 2 in the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe. Balázs Hartmann scoring victory yesterday, having held off his countryman Gábor Tim. It was a very beautiful fight between them, and not only them, it was actually the entire top four. Keeping us entertained all the way to the end of the race. And today we have another chance to see yet more overtaking, yet more racing action, and of course the order is mixed up. We've got the top 8 reversed. As you can see, yesterday's race winner Balázs Hartmann down in 8th with Gábor Tim alongside him on row number 4, but it is Egon Burkus up on pole position, car number 500, and alongside him Ester Nemet on the front row of the grid. It's Hungarian top 3 on the start with Daniel Nemes in 3rd. 4th place goes to Bastian Frischmann from Austria. In P5 we have got Adam Mesaros. In 6th Benjamin Nagy. In 7th and 8th the mentioned two guys Gábor Tim and Balázs Hartmann. In 9th Zichao Wang, and in 10th Richard Král. And then the bottom 4 Tomáš Farkas, Milan Merk, András Bilko and Zoltán Chuti completing the grid. 3 minutes left before we set off for the formation lap. Cars, of course, lined up on the starting grid. I was going to say in the heat, but let's check that because it should be around 15 degrees Celsius. So not exactly sweltering hot. So what we used to here in Croatia. And it's mid-May. But given how the weekend started with torrential rains, even a hailstorm on Thursday night with really the hails with 2 centimeter big hails, it was crazy weather. But luckily that's already away and forgotten. And we have got a beautiful sunny Sunday weather. So, drivers sitting on the grid. I believe that they're not going to be too hot in their cars with what I just said. Of course, the grid again divided into 2 classes. The 2 main ones that we have, it's the 1.4 turbos up ahead and the naturally aspirated 1.6 older generation Swifts towards the back end of the grid, with a couple of positions left out on the starting grid as well to separate the 2 fields from one another so that there isn't any potentially dangerous mix-up, because of course the performance of the 2 generations is a lot different. And we actually have reversed order in the bottom class as well, because it was actually Zichao Wang who was last yesterday, and he is moved up to the top of their respective field. So he is 9th overall, but first in his class, and alongside him the Czech driver Richard Král on the front row. The 30-second board is about to be shown to all the drivers on the grid, as it is done right now, just as everybody else leaves the grid and returns back to the pits, with only the drivers and the machines left at the start. So, the green flag is being waved, and we are setting off for the formation lap at this 4.1 kilometer long racetrack. It's actually a very interesting layout. and honestly there is not so much space where the track is located, because we are right between mountains, a mountain pass, and a main motorway coming from the north, from Zagreb, the country's capital, down to the sea, which it meets right, well, short way away from the track here in Rijeka. We are just outside the city of Rijeka, where you join the sea line basically, and the coast, and then if you're coming for a Croatian holiday, very often you then keep on going wherever you are headed, whether it is Split, Šibenik, or whether you go all the way down to the bottom of the country, to Dubrovnik. So also the pace car joining the grid from the side as we are working our way back towards the starting grid. The track marshal already prepared with the red flag this time, which will be signaled to the drivers all the way until the point when the grid is ready, when everybody's ready on the grid, and when we will be good to go. Oh, it's getting cloudy again. Okay, back onto the grid. So Egon Burkush will line up on pole in his yellow car, with Esther Nemet joining him on the front row in her predominantly blue car with yellow highlights. Daniel Nemes in third from Bastian Frischmann. And Adam Mesáros, Benjamin Nagy, Gábor Tim, and yesterday's race winner Balázs Hartmann down in 8th. And then the 1.6 class behind them. Everybody getting into their positions, and we will be good to go in just a couple of seconds. So everything is ready for the race to begin. Let's see how long the starter is going to leave the lights on. Now they're on. And they are off, and away we go, with Egon Burkush not really managing the greatest of getaways, honestly, so he's already being swallowed by the rest of the pack, but still he manages to stay at least in the fight for the race lead into the first corner. Also Esther Nemet dropping down the order slightly with Bastian Frischmann coming through, but it was Daniel Nemes taking the lead of the race. This is the 1.6 class, and Esther Nemet drops all the way down to the bottom of the, well, not all the way, but lost a lot of places over the course of the first opening corners, and it is Daniel Nemes leading the race from Bastian Frischmann. And I believe it's already yesterday's race winner Balázs Hartmann up to third, isn't he? Car number 505 already up to third. Beautiful start by yesterday's race winner from 8th to 3rd in the matter of just a couple of corners, basically one sector. What a start by Balázs Hartmann. He's also being shadowed by Adam Mesáros. No, sorry, that would be Benjamin Nagy in the mostly black car. There was even a slight touch from Balázs Hartmann as he just unsettled the car of Bastian Frischmann slightly, and now he's attacking him down the inside into the hairpin. Through the S's we go and back onto the start and finish straight. Bastian Frischmann still trying to stay at least alongside Balázs Hartmann, but Hartmann is coming through. They are running next to one another. Bastian Frischmann being slightly quicker down the pit straight, but Balázs Hartmann is brave on the brakes and takes the second spot, with Benjamin Nagy also trying to come through, but he has to try again. Bastian Frischmann now leaves the door open on the inside, which will become outside for the left-hander that we are getting into. Behind them in the mostly yellow car, it's Gabor Tim fighting with Adam Mesáros. Mesáros now being a little too wide for his liking. Ester Nemeth behind them. Still the battle raging on for third, with Bastian Frischmann brave enough to stay there. Benjamin Nagy still trying to have a look, but he now has to defend from Gabor Tim, who's trying to take the opportunity. But Nagy staying ahead. Daniel Nemeth up ahead with a, let's say, handy lead. But Balázs Hartmann is already starting to dent into it, and he's currently lapping faster than the race leader. Gabor Tim in the continued fight with Benjamin Nagy. They are battling for fourth. This gives a little bit of breathing space to Bastian Frischmann. But Adam Mesáros coming through. But not quite. Benjamin Nagy really brave on the brakes. Look at that, he just fully sent it. And even that wasn't enough, because then the next right-hander plays into the hands of Adam Mesáros, but that does not stop Benjamin Nagy from trying around the outside. And he's still somehow staying alongside his countryman. Still side by side through the left-hander, just like Gabor Tim together with Bastian Frischmann. Frischmann finding better speed on the exit, so he's not given up just yet. Gabor Tim now having the luxury of the inside line and already slotting ahead of the Austrian driver. So Gabor Tim prevailing for the moment. Just as Balázs Hartmann is getting closer and closer to the race leader, Daniel Nemeth, across the line. They were already under a second from one another, because Balázs Hartmann set the fastest lap of the race so far. A lot of action has already unraveled in the opening 5 minutes of racing action here at Grobnik. And Nemeth definitely not safe in the race lead. Back onto the start and finish straight we go. And Balázs Hartmann already in very close contact with Daniel Nemes. So from all the way down in 8th, over the first, let's say, 6 minutes, nearly into the race lead. He's already together with the race leader, and he has got to work fast because Gábor Tim is also on his way to join the leading duo. There he goes in the other predominantly yellow car. Already all three together in one shot. Daniel Nemes is going to try and defend, but how hard? Balázs Hartmann already having a look down the inside. Daniel Nemes leaving the door open, and Balázs Hartmann taking the top spot off his hands. Balázs Hartmann, just like yesterday, leading the race. So the question is, what is Gábor Tim going to do about that? Because he's also got a beautiful pace. He actually set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap. But look at that. Daniel Nemes is definitely not happy about what just happened. And he tried to retake that top spot from Balázs Hartmann, but Hartmann secured that through, later braking into the first corner. Now Gábor Tim already all over the back end of the white car. 142.7. Great lap that Gábor Tim just did there. He was a lot faster than the two drivers ahead, who were fighting, of course. And this is a fight further down the field, basically for 4th, which is now in the hands of Bastian Frischmann, coming under huge pressure from Adam Mészáros and Benjamin Nagy. Mészáros lining up for a move down into the hairpin. Ooh, he tries that. There was maybe even a slight touch between the two. And Mészáros coming through on Bastian Frischmann. Now it is Mészáros who has to check both of his rearview mirrors. We've got one of the slower cars about to be lapped. This is not the brilliant situation for the trio. Luckily everybody's safely through. And it seems actually as though Adam Mészáros actually gained a little bit through that. With Bastian Frischmann now under pressure from Benjamin Nagy. These are the race leader. Balázs Hartmann, having overtaken Daniel Nemes, is not really pulling away. Gábor Tim still staying in 3rd for the moment. And look at that, Gábor Tim was really close there to Daniel Nemes. This is the 1.6 class. I believe those were András Bilko and Milan Merk fighting for 2nd overall. I mean, in their class. But look at that, Daniel Nemes really looks racy. So he didn't have the pace to stay away from Balázs Hartmann, but once he was overtaken, he's managing to stay together with both of the yellow cars. Now Gábor Tim is going to have a look, and he's sending it down the inside into the hairpin. look at Daniel. Really racing very nicely today. And he's just trying to stay together with the yellow cars who dominated yesterday's race. But Gábor Tím is currently through, and he is about to try and launch an attack on Balázs Hartmann. It was actually Gábor Tím who won the qualifying on Friday. And lost the lead then and didn't hold on to it. So it was Balázs Hartmann victorious in the yesterday's race. But Gábor Tím now trying to take revenge. And look at that, Gábor Tím sending it so hard, under braking. They were so close to one another through the opening corner of the track. That was beautiful. However, it was not an overtaking attempt as such, just yet. So through the sweeping S's. And look at that now, Daniel Nemes. He's already lost contact with the race-leading duo. And is actually coming under pressure from Adam Mesáros. Just as the two guys up front are going to fight for the race lead. By the way, I just noticed that the car of Balázs Hartmann is still missing its rear right tail lamp. Adam Mesáros sending it down the inside. Daniel Nemes left the door open, but he's managing a better traction, or finding better traction out of the final corner. So staying in third, but now it is Adam Mesáros coming better through the gears, gaining speed along the pit straight. Daniel Mesáros not giving up. Sorry, Daniel Nemes not giving up. Now I combined both of their names together, of course. And Gábor Tím all over the back end of Hartmann's car. And he's sending it down the inside this touch. And Balázs Hartmann trying to correct that, which he did. But Gábor Tím coming through. That wasn't the cleanest of moves. He's probably going to argue that, yeah, but Balázs shut the door on me. What was I supposed to do? Yeah, but he was also the one behind and maybe coming a little too aggressive. But what are they going to do about that? Gábor Tím, if he wanted to let Balázs Hartmann through now, he would already run the risk of allowing Adam Mesáros also into better positions, which is of course something that he doesn't want to do. So he's staying ahead for the moment, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what the stewards would like to say about that, if anything. So it's Gábor Tím leading from Balázs Hartmann. There is another fight further down the field. That would be Benjamin Nagy together with Bastian Frischmann, and Nagy finding himself on the grass, losing ground, losing speed. This is a chance for Ester Nemet to also come through and collect a few more points. Ester Nemet now side by side with Benjamin Nagy. Ooh, Benjamin Nagy really wild into the first corner. Ester Nemet, maybe for safety reasons, just opening the door up on the inside as she saw a dancing Swift in her left-hand side rearview mirror. And that allows Benjamin Nagy back through. So back to the lead. Gábor Tým ahead of Balázs Hartmann. Adam Mészáros now waiting in arrears because he's sensing trouble. He feels that something might happen that would allow him through. He's already on the podium scoring position as he's dealt with Daniel Nemes. And we are also currently encountering one of the slower cars about to be lapped, which could theoretically mix things up, but it doesn't. Gábor Tým still holding on to the first place, but I think that Balázs Hartmann now manages a better exit out of the hairpin, which is going to give him some sort of advantage for the start and finish straight. Slipstreaming past each other. 7.5 minutes left on the clock. They're trying to use all the curb they can. Still no change in the order. It's a bit of a yo-yo racing. Familiar with that term, huh? But Gábor Tým pulling ahead ever so slightly. What is going to happen now? It is now Adam Mészáros, very close behind Balázs Hartmann. And we are coming to the hairpin. Hartmann choosing the defensive line. They are extremely close to one another. Adam Mészáros trying nicely, but finding no way through. There is one more of the slower cars about to be lapped, but it is staying away from the racing line for now. Letting the faster cars by. Ooh, it's not brilliant, but the guys can deal with that. Blue flags, of course, have been shown. 5.5 minutes left. There's quite a few people in the, I was going to say grandstands, but around the track. I think the spectator attendance is very nice for this weekend. Quite a lot of people turned up. Of course, the weather situation helped a lot. And the racing action is also very, very beautiful since the start of the day. Balázs Hartmann still defending hard from Adam Mészáros. This is really giving a chance to Gábor Tým to pull away, which he's trying to do. And he is lapping faster. This is where he comes to his own game because he won the qualifying. He was, if I remember well, faster by about 0.6 of a second than Balázs Hartmann in quali, so he can do faster lap times. But yesterday he lost the lead and didn't manage to retake it back effectively. So now, as he managed to get ahead, he's pulling away. And what is definitely beneficial for him is that Balázs Hartmann actually needs to focus towards the back, not up front. Because that's where the danger is right now. And Adam Mészáros still all over the back end of the yellow and black car. So a couple more laps from the end. I believe 3 laps to go, together with this one. Still no change in the order. Adam Mesaros tries it in the same way he did on the previous lap, into this corner, but Balázs Hartmann saw that coming and shut the door. Took an early entry into that corner, which might not be the fastest way to go, actually, but it's helping with the defense. Oh, but look at that. I mean, Gabortim is also not pulling ahead that quickly. I mean, he's got a very comfortable gap, very comfortable lead at the head of the race. He doesn't really need much more than that. How about now down the inside into the first corner, but that gap was always going to disappear. It was more of a look than an attempt as such. And this is an issue for Benjamin Nagy, who's coming into the pits with some sort of trouble. I don't quite think that's any sort of penalty. They're actually not on for this weekend in terms of, for example, drive-through penalties and stop-go penalties, simply because the pit lane is so small and so narrow. There's even the 60km/h limit. Balázs Hartmann kicking up some dust to throw it into the face of Adam Mesaros. 1 minute left. We're about to do one more lap in this race, with Gabortim leading nicely. He's still gaining, not by much, but gaining. That's most important for him. He's managing his pace, 1:43.3 on the previous lap, with the other drivers behind him doing 1:43.5. So added another 0.2 of a second to his gap. How about now? 1.8, 1.9 nearly. Ooh, and Adam Mesaros now finding his way through, sending it down the inside. He wasn't probably even counting on trying a move, and he actually started by going the wider outside line and then switched back. He chopped off his splitter, it seems, or was that from the car of Balázs Hartmann? Not really sure right now. I believe that may have been from underneath Adam Mesaros' car, the piece that flew off. Quite a big one. But that's not stopping him. But in the end, that was a nice move. Maybe he wasn't even expecting to be overtaking, but once he found himself actually in the overtaking maneuver, he completed it nicely and took the second spot. Great stuff by Adam Mesaros. The time is up, so we're about to finish this lap. This is the last lap of the race, with Gabortim currently leading comfortably from Adam Mesaros and Balázs Hartmann. Daniel Nemes already a distant fourth. And there we go. So what he couldn't do yesterday, he will do today. In the heat of the sun, Gabortim takes victory in race 2 of the Suzuki Swift Cup Europe here at Grobnik. And Adam Mesaros coming home second. That he took as he commenced the final lap of the race with a dicey move down the inside. Balázs Hartmann, yesterday's race winner, coming home third to complete the podium scoring positions. Daniel Nemes in fourth. Bastian Frischmann in the blue and orange car in fifth from Ester Nemet in similarly colourful Swift. Egon Burkush, the pole sitter, coming home seventh from Zoltán Chuti. And Zoltán Chuti will then be the victor of the 1.6 class from András Bilko, Milan Merk and Tomáš Farkas. Benjamin Nagy ended up in the pits with two other cars being lost in the proceedings, presumably with quite a big gap to everybody else, so they were lapped multiple times. Zichao Wang and Richard Kral. No, I believe they were just lapped a couple more times. Either way, that's it for the yet again eventful Suzuki Swift Cup Europe race, with Gabor Tim taking the victory with a wonderful and actually a quick move that put him into the race lead, which he then never let go of. Adam Mesaros coming home second, and as said, yesterday's race winner Balázs Hartmann will be third. There are still some cars that need to come across the line, so the checkered flag being waved, but that is now it. Everybody has already completed the race and is returning back to the pits. So, coming up next will be the second race of the Eastern European TCR, so we will meet for that from the Suzuki Swift Cup. This will be it.